Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be going over all the Pokemon VMAX that we've seen printed, except for, well, there are two that aren't going to be on here because they have like 2,000, 3,000 HP, so I'm not going to include them. But yeah, I'm going to be going over all the Pokemon VMAXs that are available in current standard format that you can actually play. And I'm just going to be ranking them how good they are in terms of power level, not in terms of design or anything, but in terms of power and how much play they've seen, both of those. And there are a lot. I think they're like 80 something. So that's pretty insane. I hope this goes well. There's going to be a lot, and I'm not going to necessarily order the tiers. I'm going to try to order them, but they won't be super accurate. Also, I don't know, like, the first ones might be a little off, but let's just see how it goes. Starting off with Heatran VMAX. And this one, it's all right, but it's not particularly good. Fire type's pretty bad, and it's pretty expensive as well to attack with, so I'm going to put it in D tier. It's I guess playable. It like heals, but it's not particularly strong. And with this bad typing, it's pretty much unplayable. Machamp VMAX, I guess, is C tier. It's pretty underwhelming again. It doesn't hit a ton of damage. It has some alright synergies. It's not a horrible VMAX, but just a bit underwhelming and outclassed by a lot of other VMAXs. And also, it's like, I don't know, it's just not a very good and consistent one. You'd I think, damage on your bench Pokemon or something. And then fighting type's a bit awkward to power up without any other tricks. So it's going in C tier. It's not horrible, but it's not great. Kingler VMAX, I don't know about this one. It powers up your board, I guess. It does alright damage, but it's not. I'll put it in C tier. Again, pretty not great. Nah, probably D tier. Kingler VMAX is not very good. I've seen it once or twice, but it doesn't have a lot of, like, anything. It's a bit of an underwhelming VMAX there, unfortunately, as well. Mimikyu VMAX, this one I guess is C tier. It's kind of playable. It does a bunch of spread damage, which is really good. With Big Parasol, it's kind of unplayable. But also, you need to play Ace Premonition, which isn't the worst supporter, especially in the current format, but it's not great either. Overall, I think it's like an alright VMAX, but it has a very good V as well. Probably out of all these might have like one of the best Vs in the game, which is pretty important. But yeah, it just kind of struggles. It's a weird deck. You can't really Cheryl because then you can't do a lot of damage. So I don't know, I haven't played it too much, but I don't think it's a super strong deck. Kind of inconsistent, kind of weak as well. Aggron VMAX. Now this one's weird. It's like really atrociously bad, but at the same time it's actually seen play. So I have to put it. Nope, not that. Aggron VMAX. I'll have to put it in B tier, I think. It's bad, but it has power. It has power behind it. And compared with Arceus, it kind of works. So I'll put it in B tier. It has seen very solid competitive standard success. So I gotta give it some credit. And the V helps it a bunch as well. The VMAX is pretty underwhelming, but the V certainly has a lot of power behind it. That's kind of cool, so I'll put it in B tier. Appleton VMAX, this one's pretty garbage as well. It's not like complete trash though. It had like bad typing for a while, but now they rotated, it's okay. Although Fire's gonna be good again, but we're losing Appleton with rotation anyway. No, we're not. It's Battle Styles. You could play it with like Cheryl or Rillaboom, which is kind of alright. I saw that a little bit. It's inconsistent, but it has power behind it, so I don't hate it. It's kind of it's like a fun VMAX, but it does less damage. Like, you have to Cheryl. If you don't Cheryl, you're not really hitting much damage. And I don't hate it, but it requires a lot of pieces. I suppose a double turbo is more viable, but still, it's not great. Now we have Victini VMAX. Victini VMAX is A tier. It led to probably one of the most obnoxious decks I've ever seen, but it's still good, right? It just hits very good numbers on a lot of Pokemon at very low maintenance. Fire type used to be really good and then became really bad. So Victini is kind of weird in that situation, but its ability just to like hit solid damage is just good. And most decks can't really necessarily deal with it super well. And if your team just gets going, there's not too much you can do about it. It'll just kind of roll you over. Of course, it has been kind of like triumphed by some other Pokemon as like time's gone on, as we've seen, especially with like Palkia. Palkia just wrecks Victini and any other water VMAX or water Pokemon. So Unfortunately, it's not like S tier, but it's still good, and it's like one of the most efficient Pokemon here. Um, okay, Tapu Koko VMAX, kind of a weird one. I might need to move some stuff down. Aggron needs to go down to C. Um, yeah, that's fine. So yeah, I'm probably gonna move a bunch of these down as well. But Tapu Koko VMAX, it's certainly viable. It has, I'm moving this. Yeah, I'll move these up, I guess. Tapu Koko VMAX is, it's pretty solid with its ability to paralyze. Has very good typing right now as well. It's debatably the best deck in format right now, which is just insane. With Arceus, right? It's one of those Pokemon that need Arceus. Like probably half these Pokemon on this list are viable with Arceus, which is crazy. Arceus is just so strong. But yeah, we see that Tapu Koko is super good with Arceus. It has tricks to work with. It can use Electrode and like Roxanne and stuff. It's very disruptive. A lot of people don't play a lot of Switch. Also, Tapu Koko V from Sword and Shield's very good. So I gotta give it A. It's not like broken, but it's found itself in a very good spot in the meta right now. Let's see. Single Strike Urshifu VMAX. I can't even tell if this is in English or like Japanese because the text is like unreadable because there's so many of them. This one's good as well. Probably A tier, like between these two. No, I'm not sure where to put it. I'll put it here, I guess. It has a lot of power behind it, right? It's very strong, very viable. It's been like I'd say viable since it came out. Not great since it came out, but it's certainly solid. It has a lot of support. It's also very decent with Lugia Archeops. I think that'll start to pick up and see a lot of play post rotation. Not necessarily with Single Strike Urshifu VMAX, but I think that is a very good consideration. It depends on the way the meta is. It's had like weird type matchups as well. And the fact that it hits big damage means that its positive typing isn't as good. Unlike another one here, Rapstrike Urshifu VMAX, which I'll move on to. Amazing. It's like the best spread Pokemon ever. Not necessarily, but it's up there. I'm not familiar with spread, to be honest, too much. So I don't know what the greatest spread Pokemon of all time would be considered. But Rapstrike Urshifu VMAX has to be up there. It's very strong. Very solid typing, able to use its typing very well. In addition to that, and then also being able to do great spread damage, very efficient, great damage for 1 energy, so therefore able to use Cheryl. It's one of the best versatile VMAXs that we've seen. It does lack a bit of power, but really it's just very good. And as doesn't mean it's the best out of all these, but it means it's in like the top 10%. I'm trying to make the tiers evenly spread out, and so we'll see how this goes. But I want to put them where they belong. In Rapstrike Urshifu VMAX is truly one of the best VMAXs we've seen. It was debatably, it was like, I'd say it's the second great VMAX that we've maybe third, I'm not sure. But it really it defined an era, and it was very strong. And also a very important part of that weakness triangle thing we saw with Fighting Dark, Psychic, which kind of defined the game for a while as well. In Rapstrike Urshifu, it's probably the best fighting Pokemon we've seen in the Sword and Shield era. I can't think of all of them, but it probably is. Like Corviknight VMAX, this one's certainly all right. I guess I'll put it atop of B. Putting it right next to Aggron feels so weird, but Corviknight is pretty solid, but it has some weird uses. It can be played in a control style deck, and it can also be used in an attacking style deck with Bronzong or Cheryl or whatever. But it really was a deck that flopped as well. It's a bit too clunky. Never really took off, unfortunately, but pretty cool one there. So Battle Styles was a very good set, as you saw. It's grouped by set, and wow, those Battle Styles Pokemon were good, except for Appleton. That was pretty nice. Or is it Flapple VMAX? It's Flapple VMAX. They're the same thing, but it's Flapple VMAX. I realized I said that wrong. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. But Corviknight VMAX, certainly all right. People thought it was going to be good. I thought it was going to be good. It wasn't that good. Honestly, I think it still has potential, though. It's, again, struggled from bad typing. But, it's a solid VMAX with a solid amount of tanking. But in terms of tanking VMAXs, there are a few better ones, so it just falls short there. And really, tanking VMAXs in general aren't that good anyways. Walling VMAXs, though, Flying Pikachu VMAX is S tier. The big chunky boy is very solid with its ability to just wall off all basic Pokemon, also with amazing typing and free retreat, and a Pokemon V with some moderately versatile attacks that are very disruptive, are very puts in like an amazing position here because it just counters a lot of the best decks. Notably, it counters pretty much all the best decks, not Arceus decks, but pretty much all the other best decks because it like stops them from being able to damage you or just one shots them. So Flying Pikachu VMAX is easily like one of the best VMAXs we've ever seen, and probably the definition of a tech card as well. It's probably the only tech card on this whole list that's like just a tech card and super good at what it does as well. Its ability to counter so many good decks. On its own, it doesn't have a lot of power. Literally doing 160 for 3 is pretty underwhelming. But with so many good basics and also so many, there are some big decks that are just basics, meaning they're just auto wins. And also so many good Lightning Weak decks in Palkia V-Star and Lugia V-Star. It's just amazing. Surfing Pikachu is not as good. Surfing Pikachu is not garbage. I'm going to put it in C tier. It's certainly all right, but it has weird typing. It kind of hurts it. It can't use Frostmoth. Of course, Frostmoth isn't that good. Anyway, you compare it with Arceus. You can also use Melanie with it. You can't use it with Palkia, though. It's kind of weird, allowing it to hit a better weakness, but also have like less options to be used. Really, it pales in comparison, of course, to Flying Pikachu because it's much less versatile. Its spread damage is kind of mediocre. There are a lot of water Pokemon with like spread damage that's mediocre, including Flying Pikachu, which is not a water Pokemon, but it uses water energy. It's probably one of the weirder ones on this list. So it's kind of cool. It has some value, but I think its like place in the meta is just kind of hard to spot. Then Dreadnought VMAX. Dreadnought VMAX is bad. I don't even remember what its like attack does, but I think it's it's like 160 and like 60 on a coin flip. It's probably, is it F tier? It's not F tier. It's like might be better than, it's probably worse than Flapple though. It like walls, I guess, but it's pretty bad. Its typing is all right, giving it access to some ways of powering it up, but it's still like one of the worst water VMAXs we've seen. We've seen a lot of mediocre water VMAXs, and this one, we've seen a bunch of good ones. Pretty much no bad ones except for Dreadnought. Dreadnought is like horrible. It's not complete trash. Its damage output's okay, and its tankiness is okay, but it just really, when you look at other ones, it's just bad. Unfortunately. Gardevoir VMAX. So I've never played this deck. I know a bunch of people did, and we're fans of it. Is it good? It's not that good. It's not horrible. It was like a healing deck. It's always had a weird typing as well. Being weak to metal used to be really bad. But I'd say Gardevoir VMAX is viable. As I said, I haven't played a bunch of these, but Gardevoir VMAX is a deck that I just don't have very much experience with. I feel like I can't put it higher than like C tier because it just lacks a lot of power, unfortunately. And it's very awkward to set up, more importantly. So out of all the ones we've seen, this is probably the hardest one to set up we've seen because you can use it with a Shadow Rider, I guess, or Cresselia, but that's awkward. I don't even remember how people played it and how they powered it up. I completely forget. There are a bunch of options, but I don't think any of them were particularly good. So, yeah, Gardevoir VMAX is not very good, but not horrible either. With its ability like healing, it's an alright healing deck. And there are a lot of course, bad VMAXs. Alchemy VMAX is pretty solid. Probably top of B tier. Notably seeing play with Shadow or Calyrex VMAX, and it was very important in that deck. If it was surviving rotation, it would be pretty good with Gardevoir as well, but it's not. But Shadow or Calyrex VMAX with Alchemy VMAX was one of the best decks in format, and Alchemy certainly helped it. It didn't like completely make the deck, but it was very good and very oppressive as well. It added to the oppressive feeling of that style of deck. I'd say it's one of the better decks we've seen. It did rely a lot on tag teams, but it was still a very good deck. So I'm gonna have to say it's B tier. It in its own right isn't that good though. If you just played straight Alchemy VMAX, which people played a little bit, it was very slow. And so therefore it just didn't work very well. You just take so long to set up. Again, also suffering from bad typing. So well, I don't know if it suffered from bad typing, but I'd say its weakness to metal is certainly not great. And then so it's like B tier. Right? It could be look as better as it was part of a very strong deck, but it also could be looked as worse because its own value is pretty low. Although it does have very high damage output. Celebi VMAX, I really like Celebi VMAX, but it's not very good. It's probably C tier. It's probably better than like Machamp and Mimikyu. I'm gonna switch these two, and I'm gonna bring Mimikyu down. Mimikyu is like not that good, but Machamp VMAX is pretty. Machamp VMAX is pretty like whatever. So I'm not sure where to put it. It's certainly one with power, but Celebi VMAX, which I'm getting sidetracked here, and this is going to go on for a really long time if I keep getting sidetracked. Celebi VMAX able to like heal, able to search out Pokemon, so it's pretty cool. But its damage output's low, and its tanking ability is actually also kind of low. It does provide a nice benefit to certain decks. Don't be Orbeetle, which I think is pretty alright. But it's not that good, unfortunately. Or fortunately, if it was good, it would be annoying. And also, with Radiant Serena, it's better. Now we also see Blaziken VMAX here. This one's alright. I guess I'll put it in like B tier here. Maybe, yeah, I'll put it between the metal boys. Its ability to like accelerate energy is good. It was good in Sylveon, I guess, and it was okay in Urshifu compared with Zeraora, but it's kind of a weird Pokemon. It struggled to find its niche. Theoretically, it could be very strong. You could play it with Cheryl and stuff. In fact, you could just play straight Blaziken, which was a pretty solid deck. Didn't see a lot of play. It's probably actually better than Corviknight, so I'll bring it up one. You could like also use Clutch, which was kind of interesting. And there's like it was just a very solid deck and this card, but it's always like struggle to find a place as well. Ice Rider Calyrex though, this is this S or is this A? I don't know. I'll put it in S. It's been very good since this came out. Out of all the Pokemon here, it's probably the most like consistently solid Pokemon with its abilities to just do like 250 for 2, which is just it's enough most of the time. You can buff it with Choice Belt to do even more, or Leon even. You can one-shot stuff. You're probably not one-shotting stuff, but you could, and it's very low maintenance. Obviously, it works very well with Melanie. It's really designed to work in Melanie, so I'd say it's a very solid one. I know some people who like Ice Rider a lot as well. I personally am not a big fan of it because of its somewhat low power output, but it's still very good. It's kind of like Victini VMAX. Victini and Calyrex and Ice Rider are very similar, but I gotta say that like Ice Rider just holds up, and also is like better in more matchups and more versatile. Victini is not very versatile. Shadow Rider. Now this one has to be S tier. Right? It's is it higher than Flying Pikachu? If you remember, I actually made a video where I ranked the top 10 best VMAXs. Now that did not include. Actually, that was most of the VMAXs were out by that point, but not all of them. So now they're all out, and it's time to make a tier list of all of them, obviously. But Shadow Rider, I don't really remember where I put it. I think I put Shadow Rider somewhere in here. I'm gonna say it's actually really fell off though. I'm gonna put it in actually below all these. It really fell off a lot. It was very much riding on a card on Gengar Mimikyu. Obviously, as I said, it worked with Alchemy. It was a very oppressive deck, like Urshifu, like some others we'll get to. But I gotta say, it's not necessarily like the best one we've ever seen. I think it deserves to be an S tier, as it really is one of the decks that like shined and was one of the Pokemon VMAX that people thought were just insane. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting one. But it's like power ramp is moderately slow actually, so it'll take you a few turns to get up to big damage. And then once you're up there, you can just get like one shot by like Drapion as well, which is kind of problematic. It's much harder to power up, but it's still problematic. Sandaconda VMAX, I don't really play this one very much. Actually, I played it some. I don't know. I know someone else who likes it as well. It's pretty alright. It's not that good though. It's like top of C, I suppose. It has its strengths. It's a solid spread Pokemon. moderately versatile in what it can do within its own deck. But also it's pretty like weak because it's like spread damages like you compare it to Rapstick Urshifu and it's just bad. So yes, pretty all right, but definitely outclassed by a lot of things, and also with Manaphy it just kind of loses. Now we're looking at I forgot Galarian Slowking VMAX. Yeah, this one's like garbage. Is this F? Yeah, that's probably F tier. It didn't work for a long time in live as well, but wait, no, the V didn't work. Yeah, so it's like poisons, but it's pretty atrocious. It doesn't really, it just like doesn't do a lot of damage. It can't really benefit too much from the single strike stuff. It does do 10, so you can benefit a little. But it really just isn't very good. There's not really much reason to play this card. It poisons a lot, but they'll probably just retreat or switch. And it's actually like the same amount of damage as something like Ice Rider. And it's probably more awkward to set up. It's the worst typing. It doesn't really have weakness either. It's actually not a bad type. In fact, it might actually be a better type in terms of weakness, but I mean, it doesn't hit weakness really. It just does like 20 instead of 10. So Galarian Slowking VMAX is pretty garbage. Metagross VMAX, this is one that I'm a big fan of. I can't really give it higher than C though, and I'll put it on top of C. As a control deck, it's pretty alright, but kind of weird. It's a bit underwhelming. But then it's like an attacking deck with some stall elements. It's pretty solid. There's another deck that probably does this better. And again, it's kind of suffers from awkward typing. And also, like, it doesn't hit a lot. It can be disrupted and all that kind of thing. But Stone Journey is the one that, like, is very similar to it, which we'll get to. But Metagross is pretty solid. It's very well. I was gonna say it's very consistent. Its attack like searches, so it gives it more like more consistency there. But it's a bit of an awkward one to use as well. Now Tornadus VMAX. I don't know. This one's weird. I saw play. I don't think it was very good though. Like people like playing it, but it just isn't great. I guess it's actually pretty good now though with Lugia. Like play Lugia Tornadus. You can do powerful energy and single strike energy, which is really strong. B seems too high, but maybe it's B tier. I saw some competitive play. Yeah, people played it way too much. Not that I saw that much play, but I saw like it was one of the more played decks of that set. Behind the Calirexes, it was possibly the most played deck. I don't remember what was in that set, to be honest, but I don't know. It's all right. Obviously, it's like a single strike Pokemon. You can play it with various things. I don't really know how people played it. I think there were different ways. But I was never a big fan, but some people liked it, and some people had good success with it, so I gotta give it B tier. Zeraora VMAX. Oh, this one's kind of weird. Obviously, it has a very good typing right now. But it's not that good. It's very hard. It's brand new. I don't think it has a ton of promise. I'm gonna put it in like C tier. No, I'll put in C tier. I guess below, like above Guardy. It's probably fine. It has like a lot of power theoretically and a lot of versatility with the V-Star as well. But also it's kind of awkward to power up. And there are better lightning Pokemon as well. Obviously with like Flying Pikachu, Tapu Koko, just amazing Pokemon. So something like Zeraora VMAX just struggles to have the like the power and consistency to keep up. Had Rain VMAX. This one's weird. Presumably it's going to get very good with the upcoming set. Possibly insane. Possibly part of the best deck in format. Also possibly completely useless as well. And right now it's been pretty bad, so I'm going to put it in D tier. Top of D, that's fine, but it's like moderate healing, but it's a very limited in what it does, and it's just not great. So I'll give it D. Oh, that sounded weird. I'll put it in D tier. It's an all right one, but we need time to see it. But really, in its face value, it's pretty underwhelming. Butterfree VMAX. So this was like bad. There's nothing really redeemable about this one. The grass type's always been bad, and Butterfree doesn't have too much there. I guess it's pure tree. I didn't even know that. I've like not really played with this. I've seen it played. It's like garbage. It's just special conditions and like a little bit of damage. But it's expensive, bad typing, just it's all around bad. Don't play it Butterfree VMAX. Charizard VMAX. Charizard VMAX is pretty bad as well. But still a little bit of play with Arceus. Kind of like Aggron VMAX. Again, really bad typing. I would never really was in a good spot to like do anything. Where does it go? Maybe is it C? Top of C feels all right. It kind of has some viability with Arceus. Um, yeah, it's very much like Aggron VMAX, very similar. I'm gonna drop it like a few, but it's all right. It's theoretically okay with Arceus. Again, a lot of these are just only viable with Arceus, but Charizard's one of those, and also with its V Star, it like sees more. It has more versatility, so then it like sees more play. And that's Charizard. I can't really give it like F or anything. Scorch. Now this one's good. It's probably it's a here. No, it's like here. One of the better ones we've seen. Very much hurt with the rotation of Welder, but it's very strong with this ability to ramp up damage. It's kind of like Shadow Rider. At his prime, Scorch is very similar. So just like big damage ramp. Also had, as I said, very good typing with Welder at the time. So I gotta see, yeah, it's very good, right? People played it a lot. It was kind of the era, the beginning of the oppressive VMAX era. Scorch itself wasn't actually super overpowered, but some people were saying it's overpowered. Got a lot of hate as well, but not the best VMAX in the set, but still very good. Grimmstyle VMAX is like pretty atrocious. I guess it being dark type's okay, but have I ever seen the C play? I don't think so. And I've seen like all the other VMAXs here. Actually, I've seen Grimmstyle a little bit, but Grimmstyle is pretty bad. I'll give it bottom of D. Save it from getting into F tier, but don't play Grimmstyle. I guess you could play with Arceus, but it's not very good. Obviously, Eternus is going in S tier. Is it below Urshifu? No, it's above. It's like the definition of the like a big VMAX. It does massive damage. It does struggle with like having a counter printed to it in like every set, but ignoring that, it's very strong and has the highest damage output in the no, it does like one of the highest damage outputs in the game. It's like Ice Rider, but it like does more. So its damage output's really great. It does some weird stuff. The decks function a little weirdly because you can only have dark Pokemon, but with like Weezing it's very good. So I think it certainly deserves a spot in S tier, and the top of S feels fitting with it just raw power cutting through anything, especially as an earlier VMAX with the damage it was hitting. It was one-shotting 3 prizers all over the place. It was insane, and it would like tear through the top decks in the format. It was insane. And now it's certainly viable. It hits a good weakness. Part of the weakness triangle is Shadow Rider, Urshifu, Eternatus. We see stuff like the other Urshifu jumping in there. And we also see decks like Mew and some other stuff. Where's Mew? I don't know. I'm sure it's somewhere in here. Hopefully, if it's not, I'll be very sad that I'm not gonna be very sad that I missed it. No one misses it, but yeah, it's got to be here somewhere. Anyway, let's keep going on, because we don't need to talk more about Mew VMAX any more than we have. Oh yeah, I found it. Yeah, I don't know what order this is in, by the way, because I thought it was by like set name, which case we would have gotten to it already, but it's. Oh, I guess it is in set. No, it's not. I'm not really sure. Anyways, we got what's this guy? Scizor VMAX. Yeah, Scizor VMAX, moderately okay tanking VMAX. Is it good? I don't really know. I mean, no, it's not that good. It's like D tier. It's better than Hatterene, or sorry, worse than Hatterene. It's probably like here. Actually no, Scizor is like. I'm sorry. This guy's getting moved down. This guy's getting moved down. This guy's getting moved down. Yeah, this is fine. Scizor's kind of bad, but it saw some play. Metal was an alright type. It had like utility and its tankiness theoretically looked good. It wasn't that good, but you could pair it with some very strong tanking cards at the time, and it was alright. Salamence VMAX, a very okay spread Pokemon, with a good typing, making it a really unique Pokemon. Um, Probably like next to all the other spread Pokemon, right? Not that unique, but at the time was unique. It was probably the most unique VMAX printed at the time was printed. So it's something, I guess. Leafeon VMAX. This one was pretty good. There's a format where it was the BDIF, a very short format, but a format nonetheless. It's better than I'll put it right here. Its ability to hit like Morpho Retreat cost is so weird. It just completely like crumbles to decks like Mew. But then it's very strong against decks like Urshifu. So it's a very much matchup dependent deck. It needs to be built in a certain way. Honestly, post rotation, it'll be all right. But it's kind of a weird deck. It's just so strange. But it just magically became very good all of a sudden. So I gotta give it A tier because it was, as I said, the best deck in format when it came out, which is just insane. Looking at all the other decks that were around, this was the best. Like, it's crazy, but it was very good. Trevenant VMAX is garbage, right? Don't play this. Yeah, it's pretty trash. This is more for each support on your opponent's discard. It's bad. It just not good. Flareon VMAX. Let's see. So it's pretty weird. Out of all the evolutions, it's certainly the weirdest. It's like, I don't know. This one's pretty garbage. I can't really like see anyone ever playing this. It does have obviously very high power ceiling. I'll put it in bottom of D. I don't really know what to do with Flareon VMAX. It's one of the most, I don't know, random, it's got to be the least consistent Pokemon on this whole list. The way you have to build your deck, you just need so much energy. It's not really gonna work. Gyarados. So this is like Aggron, except probably better. It's kind of weird. I didn't play this deck. I guess I still could play it, but use some interesting like things. You had like Memory Capsule and Jolteon. It was very much a meta call, but a very solid meta call. I'll put it top of B. Seems a bit much. I'll put it between Blaziken and Alchemy. It has solid power and like utility. It's weird. Again, one of those Arceus Pokemon, but out of all the Arceus Pokemon, it's one of the best. Not as good as Flying Pikachu, not as good as Tapu Koko, but out of all the Pokemon that aren't just weakness-based Pokemon, Gyarados is a very solid Arceus partner. Yeah, it's weird, and it very much was a counter to the Inteleon engine, but it was still pretty solid. Now, Vaporeon VMAX. This one is weird. And also this video is going to be long, so yeah, but I think that it's interesting looking at all the VMAXs. There's a lot to look at here. There's a reason I didn't do a tier list before, but I figured it's time to dive in now. Yeah, when speaking of dive, Vaporeon, I don't know, like this one was alright. It starts playing Urshifu. I'll put in like bottom of B. It was kind of viable. Glaceon VMAX here. It's really the wall VMAX is kind of alright, but it's not great. And kind of just use like Zamazenta also. Its attack's alright. It's again one of those generic water VMAXs, probably like bottom of B. Just like Vaporeon. Vaporeon's probably a bit better. I'll move Glaceon down to somewhere around like here. Now Jolteon VMAX is pretty good. Is it better than yeah? I'll put it right next to Leafeon there. A very solid evolution. Its ability just to completely mess up your opponent's bench. I was always kind of inconsistent with its ability to like hit the bench in the ways it wanted to. Mostly because it's low damage output, forces you to make very subpar plays. And it very rarely capitalized on weakness while having a horrible weakness of its own, just completely crumbling to Urshifu. So yeah, unfortunately, its typing just completely let it down there. Despite Pokemon like Flying Pikachu and Tapu Koko being great for their typing, Jolteon is horrible for it. But it's certainly a very strong Pokemon, and it's one of the better spread ones. Not as good as Urshifu by any means, but still pretty good. We got Dracozolt VMAX. This is like the most toxic VMAX we've seen probably. You just like heal and you damage and you heal and then your opponent just like hates their life. So yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Um, B tier seems a bit high. I'll put it top of C. With this ability just to kind of Cheryl and then make your opponent completely miserable. And then your lucky ice pop, flip like 20 heads, and then all your damage is gone. You're just super happy. SP on VMAX, one that saw very little play, but then has recently become very solid. Um, I gotta. Where does this one go? It's so weird. Um, it's like attack's all right. Is it A? I'll put it bottom of A. It's versatile. It's powerful. It supports your Pokemon pretty well. So, um, its ability is honestly very good. It's one of the best abilities we've seen on a VMAX. I mean, really, most VMAXs have not had very good abilities, but Espeon's is certainly pretty solid. And its ability is to protect your Pokemon and also hit like a different weakness is pretty cool as well. Notably in Arceus decks, right? You could see it in a few other decks, but pretty much it's an Arceus attack, and it works in that. Sylveon, now this is another Pokemon that's been best with Arceus. Sylveon's like a solid attacker. I gotta put it a bit higher than Espeon. Just one higher, I guess. It's always been a very inconsistent deck. It's a very fun deck that I highly recommend you play if you haven't played it. Literally any time, you just like look at some Sylveon decks. They're super cool. Where they have versatility, they have power, they have just some interesting builds as well. The most interesting part is the deck build. You only need to play a few games to get the experience, but it's really like interesting seeing how you want to like mix and match. It's very much like Eternatus. It was actually better than Eternatus when it came out. It's a weird card, but I gotta say, Sylveon's a really cool VMAX. Lycanroc VMAX. This one's pretty bad. Is it D tier? I mean, I gotta like move some of these C tier ones down. Um, let's see. Lycanroc will go like right here. Right here. Yeah, Machamp. Oh, you went down too far. Celebi, sorry, you're bad. And Charizard's getting bumped down. Charizard's like kind of bad too. Umbreon VMAX. This is super good. Has honestly underperformed a lot, but it's very good. Is it here? It's probably like here. You see like the evolutions, and most of these are evolutions because they're all insane, and super fun as well. But yeah, Umbreon just its ability to Gust is like super good, and its typing is also pretty good, allowing it to have better matchups against notably Mew and also Dragapult. I think it's a pretty good card. Like Garbodor VMAX is not a very good card. Its attack is atrocious, and its ability is weird. I honestly played it too much, but it was bad. It was like a deck with nothing. Yeah, Garbodor VMAX is probably the worst VMAX we've ever seen. So the fact that I played it means that I'm kind of stupid. Rayquaza VMAX, an alright one, a bit of an underperformer in terms of attack, but still alright. I'll give it like bottom of B. I can't really give it lower. Its attack's good, and more importantly, its ability is pretty good. It's like the only draw ability we've seen on a VMAX, and it's worthwhile. You can put index, and it has solid value. Duraludon VMAX. Okay, this is a very good one. Is it S? Yeah, it's S tier, right? It's one of the best attackers we've seen. Again, a somewhat countery Pokemon, but one that just much more steady in its own right, but also much more awkward to use. It's notoriously inconsistent, but notoriously annoying for many decks as well. It has almost nothing going for it. I mean, it has stuff going for it, but then you like see it and it looks kind of weird. So we see that Zacian build of Duraludon, which is garbage. Like if you play that, like why do you do that to yourself? But yeah, Duraludon, pretty good VMAX. I mean, it's getting S tier here. Rillaboom VMAX. Oh no, this one. Okay, you know what? This one's going bottom of F. Pretty garbage. I'm looking at all the other like fusion strike Pokemon. They're so awful. There are a few that are right, and most are pure trash. Your Rillaboom, it's bad. Like you can't ever power it up, so it doesn't even matter what its attack does. Chandeler's not worse than Rillaboom. It's like F tier still though. It's top of F, but it's pretty garbage. I've not used it. I've seen people play it. It's bad. Don't play it. Cinderace VMAX, the fire type one. I guess it's alright. I mean, it's pretty garbage. It's not like F tier, but I didn't even like know what it does. It does like a bunch of damage, but it's pretty bad. It's technically payable. I guess I'll put it like below like Kingler VMAX or something. So we gotta zoom out. Oh, that did not do what I thought it was gonna do. I wanted to make the rows a lot wider, but it did not do that. Inteleon VMAX. This Inteleon VMAX is pretty alright. Pretty inconsistent, pretty low power level as well. So probably like a B tier. Actually, I gotta move like Dracozolt up one. It'll go here. It's certainly viable, but it wasn't ever that strong. And it was inconsistent as well. I guess it was strong, but inconsistent. And Bolton VMAX. I mean, this one saw some play with Arceus again. Another one of those really good typed Lightning VMAXs. Kind of like Aggron, kind of like Gyarados or Habakkoko. Very much in contention for the BDIF if you look at it through a certain lens. I mean, okay, I wouldn't say Aggron and Gyarados for the BDIF, but I'd say they're in contention, right? These Arceus plus something decks, they were kind of rogue. So I put it on bottom of B. Unfortunately, it's just not that strong, but it's certainly all right, and it deserves a spot. And mentioned for a good deck. Mew VMAX has to be S tier. It's a weird Pokemon because obviously it's helped a lot by Genesect, and yeah, mostly Genesect. Genesect's the broken part of the deck. Mew VMAX is very strong, very good. It helps that so much, but Genesect's the broken part. Mew VMAX will grab S tier. So, but just bottom of S though. I don't think that's better than Duraludon and Shadow Rider, but yeah, Mew VMAX, not as strong in its own right. I think I want to put it as the top deck, top VMAX, but it's not. It's helped out a lot by by Genesect. Yeah, I'll move it above Ice Rider too. Let's see, Gengar VMAX, a solid weakness hitting VMAX. It's kind of a Mew VMAX. It's all right. It hits decent damage. This is probably A tier somewhere. Probably like mid A tier. Better than Umbreon. I guess. It's very similar to Umbreon. Umbreon, where's it? Gengar, Single Strike. They kind of form this like very solid deck, and I think I'll have Single Strike join the homies, chilling there. All the Single Strike boys together. All pretty alright. And then we see Greedent VMAX. It's seen play. Its ability to like capitalize on certain stuff. It's all right. I guess it's top of C. It's honestly seen way more play than it should have, but it has seen quite a bit and seen success as well. Kyurem VMAX. Good with Palkia. Very good on the set it came out. Still very viable now. Again, one of the newer ones. Yeah, I think it's hard to judge, but still solid. Probably bottom of B though. I'll put it up a few. Rayquaza needs to be bumped down to like C tier as well. I'm looking at the other one. It's gotta climb up. It's top of B. I'm looking at all the other B tier decks and they're bad. Also Bolton's like better than this. Is it better than Gyarados? I'm not sure if it's better than Gyarados, but I'll put it here. Yeah, Kyurem good with Palkia. That's about all there's to say. It's kind of like an Ice Rider, except less consistent and solid overall. Melmetal VMAX. I haven't played this one. I don't even remember what it does. Oh yeah, it's this one's garbage. Okay, I remember what it does. It's bad. It's kind of like a Grimmsnarl VMAX, except it's bad. I've seen people play it, and it's bad. I'll put it right next to Grimmsnarl. Doesn't really have too much going for it though. It's Rillaboom. What is this? I don't really remember. I think it's all right. It's not particularly good. I mean, I'm hovering it over F. I'll put it in C. Just below Flareon VMAX. It's pretty bad. I don't know why you'd play it. If it's in between that and Butterfree, I guess you'll play Rillaboom, but it's still bad. And then we have Cinderace. This Cinderace was pretty alright as well. I don't remember how people played it, but it was solid. I think it was Welder. It might have not been. I don't know. Of course, it struggled with bad typing, and it had good typing. It was a weird deck, but it's viable. I guess bottom of B though. It was very fringe, so you can't put it super high. I think it only saw a little bit of play. Inteleon VMAX. This was alright. I'll put it. It's better than the other Inteleon. It'll go into B tier as well. No, the deck to round that off. It's all right. It's certainly viable. I liked it. I played it a lot, and I know a lot of people who played it a lot. It was definitely a budget friendly deck. one of the weaker spread decks that was considered good, but certainly I think it deserves a spot as a good deck. Toxicity VMAX, like this one's not very good. It's probably like top of D. I mean, it was kind of viable, so a little bit of play here and there, but it was overall pretty bad. Dragapult has to be S tier. It's better than Mew. Yeah, it's like the first big VMAX. It's got to go with the big three. The weakness triangle, Dragapult, followed up by what's it called? How have I forgotten? Eternus, followed up by Rapstrike Urshifu VMAX, which was then followed up by Shadoweye, which was then followed up by Umbreon, which was then followed up by nothing, because nothing followed up Umbreon. But yeah, the big three, Urshifu, Eternus, Dragapult, really, they are the VMAXs. Really, the S tier is just insane. There's so many good cards. I think that's it for the S tier. Yeah, it's probably it for the S tier. There's certainly some other alright ones, but nothing that good. Malamar VMAX. Okay, we're like kind of running out of room here. I don't know if you can see this very well, but Malamar VMAX now. Another good partner with Arceus. A very solid partner with Arceus. Got to be B tier. Honestly, top of B. It's good typing, good disruption. A bit of a weird one to play. I wouldn't say it's as good as Tapu Koko, but it's certainly very close and very much solid. Caparaja, bad. D tier. I've not played this one, but it's not very good. It's better than Real Boom, though. It's probably like mid D tier. Yeah, mid D tier. Delmize VMAX. A really weird spread one. Not one I'm a huge fan of, but the one that was okay. It's probably C tier, right? Yeah, I think honestly I'm gonna move Rayquaza up one because its like ability to draw is very solid. But Delmize is like C tier. It's one of those generic like spread ones. It'll go along. It's better than Sandaconda. It's like I'll just put it right here. It has damage output, but it's a Rillaboom deck. Rillaboom decks haven't been that good, other than Alolan. Was it Rallon Executor, which was good. And now we have Crobat VMAX. This is a weird one. Debatably in the BDIF with Flying Pikachu and Arceus. It's just a weird one. It has to be B tier, I think. And honestly, moderately high in B tier. It's a very powerful partner. It's like a pure counter to Mew, and it was a partner with Arceus. It has been outclassed by Drapion, but it's still viable. It's a really interesting card, evolving from, of course, one of the best Vs, if not the best V we've ever seen. It's not the best V. Cobra's not the best V, but it's one of the better ones. And the best one are losing with rotation, certainly. So, yeah, is it? It probably is, but Crobat VMAX is all right. And it's certainly better because Crobat V is very good. Ditto VMAX, kind of weird one. Not a super strong one, but a fun one. Is it C tier? It's probably C tier. Yeah. I'd probably... Is it better than us? Is it worse? I'm not really sure to put this one. I think it's solid. It has some utility. It like cabs your opponent. And Ditto V is good. It has like utility with that. And Ditto V is very solid. Honestly, I want to put it in B. I think I like Ditto VMAX as a Pokemon. It has a lot of potential. You can even use it with Arceus. I think does he play? I think it did with that. Ditto VMAX is such a weird one and a very hard one to use, but I think it's very solid as well. And now we see Cramorant VMAX. Okay, this one's pretty weird. I actually saw some competitive success though. It was like very surprising. I'll put it bottom of B. I don't know. I just saw play with like Porygon Z and like Special Energies, and it was a funky deck. Also, it can be played as a control deck. It's very weird. I like it. It's pretty fun. It's not that good, but I think people liked it as well. It's a deck that people played and people liked. Regieleki VMAX, this one has to be B. Probably top of B. Like there. Or I'll put it here. With this ability to like increase lightning damage, very solid. Obviously, it's a VMAX, and so you need a lot of value to make it worthwhile. But it is notably in Vikavolt VMAX, and then the new set's going to be insane too. So I got to say it's a very, very solid one. Also, the V has synergy with it and has a very good attack. The VMAX isn't a horrible attacker either, so I think Regieleki VMAX has to be considered one of the better ones in the newest sets that we've seen. and probably it's certainly top 10 of this year, I think. Although I don't even know if there have been 10 VMAXs this year. Lapras VMAX though, Lapras VMAX is pretty. I don't know. It's just not that good. It underperformed. It's not horrible. I guess it's C tier. Um, is it? I don't. Honestly, is it? I don't really know. I don't really know where to put this one. It's so weird. I guess I'll put it like top of C tier. It like saw play a lot. People thought it was gonna be really good. It reminded people of decks that people thought were really good, but it just kind of flopped. And people played it, and I don't really know. I wasn't playing the game a ton during that time. I guess I'll put it at top of C. It's a weird deck with Frostmoth. Now we have Morpeko VMAX. This one's not very good. I'll put it top of D. It's a pretty generic VMAX that just does damage. It does a little bit of spread. It's kind of like some of the other VMAXs we've seen that just do spread. It did not have a good time with its typing. It had a good V, I guess, but it's a weird one, and unfortunately not that good. Stonejourner, this one is like the definition of a B tier Pokemon. Like upper B tier, somewhere like here. It had a lot of it's one of the most toxic, if not the most toxic. I said that about Dracozolt, Metagross, Stonejourner, kind of similar, all very tanky, stally ones. They're super annoying to deal with. Your opponent heals off all the damage every turn, and then you cry. So, yeah, Stonejourner, probably the tankiest of them. Probably the best as well. There are arguments to be made that it's the best deck in the game right now. But yeah, certainly solid. Snorlax VMAX. This one's alright. Mostly expanded. It's been pretty awful. Did he play? I don't think so. I'll put it top of D. I don't really know. It's pretty underwhelming. It's like the first VMAX that has big HP. People are like, whoa, look, it's big HP, but it's not that good, unfortunately. Meowth VMAX is garbage. It's like Togekiss VMAX, which we'll get to. But it's just worse. It's impossible to pay, and it doesn't really have any good payoff. So, yep, it'll go right there. EV VMAX is pretty bad as well. I don't really. Oh no, I think it's stops attacks like coin flip. I guess it'll sneak into the bottom of D. It's still pretty bad though. Venusaur VMAX, another D tier VMAX. I guess it'll be top of D. Is it good? No, it's not very good. It's kind of like Delmise, but bad. And Delmise isn't even that good, but, it kind of exists and just is. Blastoise VMAX. I've heard a lot of talk about this one. I guess it goes C tier. I'll move Venusaur. Nah, Venusaur stays here. Blastoise VMAX probably goes right around. It's just one of those spread ones. It's kind of alright. It powers up other Pokemon. It's like a bad version of Arceus or a bad version of Palkia. I've seen it and it does some weird stuff. It's not horrible, but it is what it is. Deoxys VMAX. So I have not. Wait, what was this? I thought this was Crown Zenith. I thought Deoxys and Pikachu were Crown Zenith, but I realized that might not be true. Oh, they're promos. Yeah, I think Deoxys VMAX is a promo VMAX. Then the Crown Zenith ones were. I don't really know. I've forgotten. But Deoxys VMAX is weird. Is it good? I mean, it's all right. It reduces damage you take from V-Stars. It has versatility as well. I thought it was the same as Zeraora. I don't really know. But yeah, it'll go right next to it. It'll go bottom of C. I don't think it has a ton of potential, but it's kind of interesting with its versatility. And it's been talked about with Radiant Turtles as well, it's viable in that, which isn't a great deck, but you could put in that. Then we see this Pikachu VMAX, which I have no idea about. I think this one's a promo. Is it good? I don't really know. Yeah, I don't know what to think about this one. I guess I'll put it in bottom of C. It's playable, not very good though. Orbeetle, this one's got to go in one of a B. Debatably the best deck from Vivid Voltage. Not super strong, but kind of alright, kind of fun. Very fun, definitely. Its ability to spread is really good. It can heal, you can hit, you can punish. I think Orbeetle VMAX deserves a spot as a very alright VMAX. Another spread water one with Glare and Darmanitan. Is it good? That's alright. And go next to Blastoise. It'll go below Blastoise. It's actually no, it'll go bottom of C. It's very awkward to power up. Yeah, but it's all right. And that's better typing, I suppose. Actually, it was worse at the time, so it's not. This Pikachu VMAX, not B. It'll go like upper C. I don't know. It'll go like lower C. It's like all right. It can kind of hit big damage. It's like a really bad version of a turn as a VMAX. I personally wouldn't play this, but it has some viability with Flaffy. And then Stone Joiner VMAX is kind of what is it? I don't know. Is it? That's not Stone Joiner. That's Colossal VMAX. I've been recording for an hour. I doubt anyone's gotten to this point in the video. If you have, though, thank you. I'm really interested in hearing, though, obviously, what your thoughts are on the tier list. But yeah, Colossal was a Colossal flaw. It was bad. Didn't really have too much. I guess I'll put it at top of C. It wasn't like complete garbage, but it wasn't particularly good. Obviously, it like hits damage. It kind of tanked, but it wasn't that good. Aegislash VMAX. This one was kind of alright, to be honest. But was it good? Oh, no. Aegislash V was good. I'll play with that too. It's kind of middle of this. It's like the upper Colossal right next to it as well. Aegislash is like the tech of a tech. It was so weird, but it saw some play. It's honestly probably a bit better than Colossal, but still, neither of them are great. And then Togekiss VMAX. This one's alright. I thought it was going to be very good with Sharon's Care, and I think it still is. I got to put it B tier. Right down here. Ditto. How do you make it up this high? Ditto's going in like a C tier. Not just dropping on a few spots, but yeah, Togekiss is alright. Here's the full. Okay, come on. Give me the full tier list. There we go. I think you can see that now. Yeah, this is the full tier list. So yeah, tell me what you think of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, very long. There's so many VMAXs. I'm probably gonna do a more like discussion, like a higher quality video, like a video essay video. If you'd be interested in that, I've not edited a video like ever, but I might do like wrapping up the Sword and Shield era. There's a lot to talk about. And a tier list of VMAXs. I was going to do a tier list of all the Vs. I decided that that's like a horrible idea when the fact that the VMAX video is an hour long. But yeah, there's a lot to say about them. I hope you enjoy them. VMAXs are kind of cool, kind of bad, but kind of cool. But overall, I, of course, hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you've been enjoying Pokemon. Hope you've enjoyed the Sword and Shield era. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.